What Charles Leclerc has just confessed behind closed doors at Ferrari has sent shockwaves through the corridors of Maranello. According to multiple inside sources, this wasn't just another disagreement or minor strategic divergence, it was a seismic rupture. So explosive, in fact, that it reportedly left even Lewis Hamilton, normally composed and unfazed, completely speechless. In a team environment already thick with tension and uncertainty, this statement from Leclerc has the potential to upend absolutely everything, from the technical philosophy behind the development of the SF25 to the internal pecking order of the Scuderia, and possibly even the entire narrative arc of the 2025 Formula One season. But what exactly did Leclerc say? Why now? And how could this bold move impact Hamilton, Ferrari, and the rest of the grid? Stick around, because what you're about to learn isn't just surprising, it's downright explosive. But before we dive into the full depth of this drama, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss another twist in this evolving saga. Now, according to Corriere dello Sport, one of the most respected motorsport publications in Italy, the Monegasque driver has formally informed Ferrari that he will no longer be aligning himself with the technical directives coming from the Hamilton side of the garage. That's right, Leclerc has drawn a firm line in the sand. From this point forward, he will forge his own path when it comes to the development and setup of the SF25. He's done compromising. He's finished adapting his driving style to suit a car philosophy that, in his own words, does not reflect who I am as a driver. This isn't speculation or tabloid fantasy. This comes directly from highly placed sources inside the team, who confirmed that the conversation happened in private between Leclerc, team principal Frédéric Vasseur, and Ferrari's top engineers. The meeting reportedly took place immediately after the Japanese Grand Prix, a race that once again revealed glimpses of Ferrari's latent potential, but ultimately ended in yet another underwhelming result. Leclerc's decision isn't about fine-tuning a few car settings. It's not about small tweaks to suit his comfort. This is a full-on mutiny. A decisive break from the unified development plan that Ferrari had been pursuing under the influence of Lewis Hamilton since the Brits' high-profile switch from Mercedes. According to Corriere dello Sport, the Ferrari leadership had been placing enormous weight on Hamilton's feedback, treating his suggestions as gospel in their desperate attempt to finally engineer a title-contending machine. But the truth on track paints a very different picture. Despite all the attention Hamilton has received within the team, Ferrari currently sits in fourth place in the Constructors' Championship. The SF25, hyped as a potential title contender, has yet to live up to expectations. Hamilton's results have been disappointing, with his best finish in a Grand Prix being a 9th place. His only real highlight came in the sprint race in China, which he managed to win. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc has been the far more consistent performer on Sundays. At Suzuka, for instance, he secured a strong 4th-place finish, the team's best result in a Grand Prix so far this season. And it's not an isolated case. Leclerc has regularly outpaced Hamilton when it matters most. That contrast seems to have lit a fire inside Leclerc. And according to insiders, that fire reached its boiling point last Saturday evening in Japan. After qualifying, in a closed-door meeting with Vasseur and Ferrari's technical brass, Leclerc reportedly said the words that would change everything, "I will go my own way." He didn't mince words. He didn't couch his message in diplomacy. Leclerc made it explicitly clear that he no longer wishes to synchronize the development of his car with the direction chosen by Hamilton. He wants autonomy, creative and technical freedom. He believes that his style, his instincts, his interpretation of the car's potential are fundamentally different from Hamilton's, and from now on, he intends to follow those instincts without compromise. According to team sources, this wasn't a moment of impulsive frustration. It was a calculated move. Leclerc has already begun planning for a radically different setup direction for the upcoming Bahrain Grand Prix. While Ferrari's engineers had been trying to streamline both cars under a common developmental umbrella, Leclerc's declaration now forces them to split resources, attention, and perhaps even allegiance. And that's where the implications grow even deeper. Because this isn't just about engineering. It's about power, about influence, about who truly calls the shots inside Ferrari. Hamilton arrived with the aura of a 7-time world champion. He was supposed to be the Messiah, the one who would finally lead Ferrari back to championship glory. But Leclerc, the loyal servant of the Scuderia for years, is now making it clear that he won't take a back seat. Not to Hamilton. Not to anyone. This internal power struggle could fracture the team's cohesion just as they need unity the most. It could create friction between engineers, pit crews, and strategy personnel. More importantly, it could create an unpredictable dynamic between two alpha drivers both convinced that their approach is the right one. So what happens now? Will Ferrari be forced to choose sides? Will this division spark a technical renaissance, or will it lead to internal collapse? And how will Hamilton respond to being, for the first time in years, challenged not just on the track, but within his own team by a teammate who is no longer willing to follow orders? One thing's for sure, this isn't just a difference of opinion. It's a declaration of independence. A rebellion inside the red walls of Maranello. And as the 2025 season unfolds, this could be the moment we all look back on as the spark that ignited either a championship miracle or an implosion from within. Stay tuned. This story is just getting started. What Charles Leclerc is now demanding from Ferrari is not just a technical shift, it's a complete reorientation of philosophy. He wants a car that truly embodies his way of driving, that reflects his preferences behind the wheel, and aligns with his personal vision of how the SF25 should evolve if Ferrari is to become competitive again. This bold maneuver couldn't come at a more sensitive moment. Ferrari is currently in the midst of preparing a significant upgrade package for the SF25, focused in particular on a newly designed floor aimed at enhancing both the car's balance and overall drivability. But there's trouble brewing beneath the surface. Within Maranello's engineering division, there's growing internal discord, not just over what to bring to the car, but when to introduce it and which developmental philosophy to follow. And now, with Leclerc officially stepping away from the Hamilton-influenced path, Ferrari is facing a truly daunting dilemma: the prospect of developing two entirely separate cars under the same roof. Let that sink in for a moment. Two distinct technical approaches, two world-class drivers going in different directions, and two garage setups diverging further and further apart with each Grand Prix. This is not how championships are won. But let's try to understand where Leclerc is coming from. After the Japanese Grand Prix, a weekend that once again exposed the limitations of the SF25, he didn't hold back in expressing his growing frustration. "It was a bit of an annoying race," he confessed. "I was completely alone. The guys in front were just way too fast. During the first stint I thought maybe we could do something, but they pulled away. It's disappointing, because we did everything right this weekend, and the balance was good, but the car just doesn't have the pace." That says it all. And indeed it does. What Leclerc is essentially saying is that he did his part. The setup suited him. The car felt balanced. The team executed well. But despite everything falling into place, the performance simply wasn't there. This wasn't about poor driving or bad decisions. It was a clear and painful admission that the core concept of the SF25, its architecture, its aerodynamic DNA, its fundamental design, is flawed. And that's why he's chosen to break away from Hamilton's path. Because in his view, sticking to Lewis's philosophy is a dead end, one that leads only to more compromises, more underachievement, and a season haunted by what-ifs. So now, Leclerc is charting his own course. He's placing his faith not in consensus, but in conviction. He's hoping that by pushing for his own tailored development path, Ferrari can give him the tools he needs, not just to match Hamilton, but to take the fight directly to Red Bull and McLaren, who continue to raise the bar. But that raises an inevitable and uncomfortable question. Where does this leave Lewis Hamilton? Let's not sugarcoat it. This is a major blow to Hamilton's authority within Ferrari. When he was signed, it wasn't just as a driver. He was brought in as a leader, a technical mentor, a figurehead to inspire the team and restore the winning culture that defined the Schumacher era. He was the man meant to unify, to guide the team out of its years of stagnation and inconsistency. But barely 3 races into the season, that image is already starting to crack. Leclerc, the man who has worn the Ferrari red longer, who knows the internal politics and pulse of the team better than anyone, has effectively said, "Thanks, but no thanks." It's a polite yet powerful rejection of Hamilton's influence, and a daring statement that's bound to fuel tension in the garage. And this isn't just a matter of egos clashing. Even Hamilton himself admitted, in the aftermath of the Japanese GP, that there is now a distinct divide between the two sides of the garage. He hinted at underperformance in one specific area of the team, language that is extremely rare for him, a driver who typically avoids public criticism of his engineers. The fact that he acknowledged something was wrong only confirms what Leclerc has now acted upon. So what comes next? Ferrari's path forward is now murkier than ever. The choices made in the coming weeks won't just affect their 2025 season, they could shape the long-term future of the Scuderia as a whole. On one hand, if the team decides to embrace Leclerc's approach and give him full autonomy over his side of the garage, they may finally unlock a part of the SF25's potential that has been frustratingly elusive so far. Leclerc's ability to extract performance from a car with inherent flaws has been evident. He's outperformed Hamilton consistently under race conditions and has arguably adapted more effectively to the car's limitations. But at what cost? Empowering Leclerc could fracture the team's internal harmony. 2 star drivers pulling in different directions. 2 divergent development routes. Only 1 official team budget. This is Formula One at the highest level, and there's only so much bandwidth the team can handle. Engineering resources, simulator time, strategic focus, all of it risks being split. And when that happens, unity becomes the first casualty. So Ferrari stands at a crossroads. Do they double down on Hamilton, hoping that his vision pays off with the right upgrades? Or do they pivot to Leclerc's instincts, trusting the man who's bled red for years and consistently delivered under pressure? Either way, they risk alienating one half of their superstar duo. And in a championship where every tenth of a second counts, internal discord can be as deadly as any rival on the track. This isn't just a story about setup choices or development timelines. It's about identity. It's about Ferrari figuring out who they are and who they want to be. And in the high-stakes world of Formula One, those decisions don't just determine races, they define legacies. To digest. Leclerc is now pushing for a car that truly mirrors his identity as a driver. One that reflects his driving instincts, accommodates his preferences behind the wheel, and aligns with his vision for how the SF25 should evolve in order to be competitive. This isn't a casual suggestion. It's a pivotal move arriving at a delicate moment for Ferrari. Right now, the team is on the verge of introducing a major upgrade package for the SF25, with one of the centerpieces being a redesigned floor aimed at improving the car's balance and cornering stability. But behind the scenes, there's disagreement, and not the healthy kind. Tensions are bubbling within the team regarding when this update should be brought to the track and, more importantly, what conceptual path the car should follow. And now, with Leclerc actively distancing himself from the setup philosophy championed by Lewis Hamilton, Ferrari is teetering on the edge of a highly unusual and risky scenario, having to manage and develop 2 fundamentally different cars inside the same operation. Just take a moment to absorb that. We're talking about a split in development philosophies. 2 elite drivers heading in opposing directions. 2 engineering teams working on diverging setups, potentially evolving race after race into completely different machines. In the cutthroat world of Formula One, this is not how titles are won. But understanding Leclerc's mindset helps paint the full picture. After the Japanese Grand Prix, Leclerc didn't hide his disappointment. He laid it out clearly. It was a bit of a frustrating race. I was completely on my own out there. The guys ahead were just way too fast. In the first stint, I thought maybe we could do something, but they pulled away. It's disappointing because we executed everything well this weekend. The balance was good. But the car just doesn't have the performance. That says it all. That comment isn't just frustration. It's a message. Leclerc is essentially saying the setup worked for him, the car felt dialed in, and the team operated effectively, but they were still nowhere near the pace needed to fight up front. The problem, in his view, no longer lies in the execution. It's not about how he's driving the car. The issue is now deeper. It's about the concept itself. The DNA of the SF25. The development direction. The aerodynamic philosophy. The way the car is fundamentally built and evolved. And that's why Leclerc is stepping away from the Hamilton-led path. He's made a clear judgment call. Continuing to follow Lewis's approach only leads to more trade-offs, more underperformance, and ultimately a season packed with regret and missed chances. So instead, he's setting his own course, hoping Ferrari grants him the independence to shape the car around his needs, not just to battle Hamilton, but to stand a chance against Red Bull and McLaren. But that raises a key question. What happens to Lewis Hamilton in all of this? Let's not dance around it. This is a direct hit to Hamilton's standing within Ferrari. He wasn't brought into Maranello simply to add speed to the car. He was hired to bring leadership, authority, a championship-winning mentality, a technical compass. He was expected to guide the team out of its seemingly endless loop of rebuilding seasons and reignite the fire that once powered the Schumacher dynasty. And yet here we are, just 3 races into the season, and that image of Hamilton as the undisputed lead figure is already showing cracks. Leclerc, the veteran of Ferrari, the man who has carried the red flag through years of struggle, has essentially said, "Thanks for your input, but I'll take it from here." It's not a declaration made lightly, and it's one bound to cause serious friction in the team garage. But this goes beyond personality clashes. Even Hamilton himself hinted at the unease following the race in Japan. He admitted there's now a divide between the two sides of the garage and suggested that there's a low-performing element somewhere within the team structure. That kind of public remark is exceedingly rare for Lewis, who usually chooses to protect his team from external scrutiny. The fact that he went there signals that something more fundamental is broken. And now, Leclerc has made that break official by detaching himself from the shared strategy. So now what? Ferrari's road ahead has never looked more uncertain. The decisions they make in the coming weeks will do far more than define the remainder of their 2025 campaign. They could determine the very trajectory of the team's future. If Ferrari decides to endorse Leclerc's call and give him full independence to pursue his unique development route, they may unlock a performance edge that's been hidden within the SF25 all along. They'd be able to craft a car tailored to Leclerc's strengths, potentially accelerating performance gains that have thus far remained elusive. And let's be honest, Leclerc has consistently had the upper hand in race conditions. He's shown he can manage the car's weaknesses better than Hamilton so far. That kind of adaptability and resilience deserves attention. But the danger is just as real. Choosing to split strategies comes at a cost. You risk dividing your engineering staff, your R&D budget, your trackside focus. You create a tug-of-war between philosophies, and that's a nightmare when unity and synergy are needed most. 2 superstar drivers, 2 contrasting visions, 1 finite set of resources. It's a recipe that could either produce magic or total chaos. At the end of the day, Ferrari is gambling on identity, on direction, and on whether they believe success comes from centralized vision or from letting each of their champions follow their instincts. One thing is certain, the decisions they make now will echo far beyond the next race weekend. They could make or break this season. They could define the next 5 years. Because in Formula One, evolution isn't just about aerodynamics and upgrades. It's about trust, power, belief. And right now, Ferrari is being forced to choose.